Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 15-minute session on the future of participation and inclusion. So, what does participation and inclusion actually mean? Well, you could describe participation and inclusion as an event. So we are participating and including when we're at a school activity, when we're at a business conference, when we're at a festival, or when we're at another cultural activity. And in today's short 15 minutes together, we're going to be looking at how the future of participation and inclusion, the future of events, could look. While you're at the Sustainable Development Goal Festival, and there are 20,000 of us at this festival, over 500 of us on this webinar right now, you'll probably be networking with different people who will tell you what their favourite Sustainable Development Goal is. I also have a favourite goal, and it's this, Sustainable Development Goal 16, the goal for peace. Now, I'm also going to tell you the target and indicator for this Sustainable Development Goal, because every single goal has a target and indicator for us to meet. The target is to ensure responsive, inclusive, participatory, and representative decision-making at all levels. What do all those fancy words mean? Well, actually, they mean making sure that everybody's voice is heard, and making sure that everybody is in the room to be able to give their opinions to decision making. And that is absolutely what I'm passionate about, and what I believe that if this Sustainable Development Goal was met, then absolutely all the other goals would be met as well. My name's Fiona, and I am CEO of Positive Impact Events, and it's fantastic to be able to speak to all of you today from all around the world. I know some of you were at school today, some of you were working, some of you planned major events for companies around the world, and we all share a passion for inclusion and participation. We have a short session today, so there isn't really time for question and answer. However, if you do have any questions, please put it in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them through social media in the future. We'll also be giving you some great resources at the end of this session. So as I mentioned, I'm really passionate about inclusion and participation. And one reason for that is my home roots. I was born in Manchester. I'm a very proud Mancunian, and partly because that's the place where women first stood up for the right to vote, for their voice to be heard. I now live in Copenhagen, and I chose to move here because I could see real gender equality within the society. So I've chosen to move somewhere where I feel I can participate and I can be included. However, through my career, I've had a number of leadership positions where I've been the only female in the room when the decisions were being made. So it's very clear to me that our current situation is not one where everyone is participating or everyone is included in decision makings. COVID-19 has actually given us a very unusual opportunity to address this. We're going to share with you a short animation about a campaign that the Positive Impact team ran last year and this year, encouraging people to take action and participate. After this film, I'm going to tell you a short story of somebody that did take action and has made a real difference. This person is one of our Positive Impact ambassadors, one of the 1,500 people in action around the world. And she got involved in this campaign and made a difference. So let's listen to the campaign.
Are you responsible for bringing people together and enabling their interaction? Are you responsible for events which bring together communities, customers, and clients and enable interaction so knowledge exchange, innovation, and collaboration happen? If you are, then the Participate campaign will provide you with the resources and opportunities for action for your 2021 to be a success and give you the ability to be accountable for the future of human interaction. Your 2021 to-do list might not have included being accountable or responsible for the future of human interaction. But in a post-COVID-19 world, there is the opportunity for a new narrative on the important role of events. To understand what this narrative could be, it makes sense to understand the priorities of global governments and businesses. In other words, the people who procure events. The narrative of the global events sector and the conversation you could be having with your CEO could be that events are the sector that enable participation and inclusion in decision making. This is SDG 16. Global governments and CEOs could be talking about events as strategic enablers for participation and inclusion, and a way to find solution to the world's shared crises of health, economy, climate, and equality.
So that short animation gave you insight into how over 1,400 ambassadors around the world have been talking about how events can have a new narrative. One of our ambassadors is from an island in the Caribbean, and she took the resources that we shared to her local government, and together they're creating a strategy about how events can be used on that island, not just to include everybody's voices, but also to protect the planet and the environment that they are working within. Again, at the end of this session, we'll give you a link to some resources so that you can also do the same with your events. Now, we're all here because we're passionate about participation and inclusion. And as I said before, COVID has given us the opportunity to think a little bit differently about that. We've had to. Before, participation and inclusion was all being in the same room together. Now it's not. For example, right now, we're all around the world and we're still engaged together in this. The Positive Impact team got a little bit curious about what this means, and we ran a number of experiments. And the picture you can see here is from one of our experiments where Paul, the person in green in the middle, a professional dancer, led a number of people responsible for major events at businesses around the world in using their body together and connecting that way. So after that short experiment, we asked everybody how connected they felt to each other compared to how connected they would normally feel in a face-to-face event. You can see the results here on this slide. The light green is the percentage of people that felt more connected to each other after they'd done this exercise of moving their body together. The second pie chart is another exercise we did where we encouraged people to sing together before the start of their meeting. And as you can see, the results were clear. People felt more connected because they'd had the chance to do something like singing together. Now, this is really fascinating. Imagine if the future of participation and inclusion, the future of business events, is people coming together and doing something different to connect. Before the COP climate change conference, imagine all the world leaders singing or doing a body movement exercise. This could create a new way for them to collaborate. We got curious about some other things as well as we ran these experiments, and I'm just going to read this slide for you now. What are feminine traits? According to the IZA, the Institute of Labour Economics, a non-profit research institute which is leading international network in labour economics, comprising of more than 1,600 scholars from around the world, feminine traits are associated with empathy, sensitivity, loyalty, having a caring disposition, collaboration, inclusion, and listening. Masculine traits are associated with authoritativeness, dominance, self-sufficiency. Now, this isn't a conversation about gender. I'm a woman and I have feminine traits and I have masculine traits. This is more a conversation to get curious about how we've been valuing feminine traits in the way our world works. Could it be that in the future, these feminine traits are going to help us be able to participate with each other, be able to include each other? And could it be that these feminine traits are going to be more highly valued than they have been in the past? Let's explore this together by doing a short interactive exercise using one of those feminine traits. I'm going to ask you all to sit for 30 seconds in complete silence and explore where you're listening from. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's always constant noise going on in our brain. For example, today in Europe, it's early evening on a Friday, and you might be thinking, I wish I was having a glass of wine with my friends rather than watching this webinar. And if you are, you'll be listening from a place of, this isn't very interesting, when is it going to finish? Or you could be listening from a place of, wow, I'm leading a major campaign to encourage people to act on the Sustainable Development Goals. I need participation and inclusion, and there's some great ideas here. In which case, you'll be listening from, I'm taking action and this is useful. So we're going to take 30 seconds of silence so you can listen to what's happening in your head and listen to where you are listening from. So we will start those 30 seconds now. Okay, so hopefully in that time, you were able to hear where you're listening from. Where I was listening from was, wow, we only have 15 minutes together and it's quite crazy that 30 of those are in complete silence. And also I forgot to leave my phone out so I could time the 30 seconds. So I was listening from, am I counting in my head too quickly for 30 or is this on track? And I was also listening from how amazing it is for us to be a global community, exploring this together, all interested in the same topic from all sorts of places in the world. So we're going to ask you a couple of research questions in a moment. But first of all, as we wrap up our short time together, we wanted to make sure that you had some resources that you can use. So if you take your phone and turn it onto photo and scan it over the QR code, you'll get a link to resources that will help you explore participation and inclusion within your events. It may even be in the future that people don't say the word event anymore. They say an opportunity for participation and inclusion. Who knows? But we've given you some resources there to help you. And now we'd like to ask you a couple of polling questions before we wrap up. So I think the first polling question we'd like to ask is, do you have a new understanding of how you can use events to enable participation and inclusion? It's just a yes or a no answer. We've kept things very simple. So hopefully you can press the response on the polls, and if we can see the results now. I'm not sure if we can see the results. So let's see if we have another polling question. And again, we'll go back on social media and share the results on the poll for you using the SDG hashtag. So the second question is the role of feminine traits in events. Have you ever thought about the difference in feminine and masculine traits when participating with and including people? So again, if you can answer yes or no, that would be excellent. And then our final polling question today is coming up now. Using one of your feminine traits, did the experiment on listening change your experience of this presentation? So yes or no. And we will make sure that we take to social media and share the results of those polls. So as we wrap up today, the final thing for me to say is thank you for making time to explore participation and inclusion, but most importantly, thank you for the action that you are going to be taking in the future. Participation is about all of us taking action, and any action you can take to make sure that people's voices are heard and people are invited into the conversation is a great action to take. So thank you.